Welcome Farewell fans and welcome back to the channel. I'm your host MNG and today we have another Reddit read for you today. And you know what I'm kind of frustrated with? Dating apps. And the reason why I'm frustrated with dating apps is because of this post right here. And it gets under my skin 1,000% because you try and you try and you try and you really don't know what the best method is. So this person right here basically chimed in and said, did I ask her out too early and is she politely refusing? Well, I can't tell you whether she's politely refusing, but being on many dating apps myself, I can tell you right now that there are some women that are out there that want you to ask them early because they don't want to be on a dating app. They don't want to even have the Q&A going back and forth. They don't like small talk. They want real in-depth conversations, and this is just from my experience. But then you have those that wants to talk a little bit longer on the dating app. Maybe they're new to the site or maybe they've had particular experiences. So they want to have some in-depth conversation before they actually exchange numbers. This happens often, but it gets confusing because you don't know which one actually wants you to take charge and have that conversation and get their number earlier on, or the ones that want you to wait a little longer so they can get to know you better before they have that conversation and want to pass on their number. So it gets a little difficult because you have to gauge it, but it's hard to gauge when you're on an app and you don't really know what that person's perspective is. But let's go ahead and get into the post. All right. So matched with someone on Hinge and got my foot in the door with a lame joke. Lame jokes always work. Okay. It's always the jokes that work. Asked her what kind of food she liked, and about 2-3 messages in, asked her if she's interested in a potential first date. Okay. All right. We know 2-3 messages in. Okay. Depending on what those messages are. But, we get into it. Since I also told her I don't frequently check the app often due to work and offered her my number. She didn't answer my question, but instead asked what I do for work. I replied, but didn't get a response from her yet. It feels like I've navigated this horribly and maybe asked her out too early. Also unsure if she's politely refusing and I should just move on. You could probably tell I overthink a lot. Any suggestions, any suggested advice would be appreciated. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. And I'm going to tell you, when it comes to these dating apps, you're going to have these hit and misses. You just don't know which person wants to have a lot of conversation and which one doesn't want to have short conversation and just move on off the app. Possibly exchange Snapchats, Instagram, whatever the case is. I really don't like the exchange of Instagram because I just feel like you just want to follow her at that point in time. If you're not willing to give up your number, I feel like you just want to follow her. And I've been hit with that a few times where, oh, well, just follow me on Instagram and we could talk there. And then you follow them on Instagram, you try to spark up a conversation. They don't have a conversation with you. And then they just end up with a new follower and then expect you to just keep on following. No, man, unfollow. Like, come on, either give me your number or not. I'm not about to sit here and follow you just because, like, if you're on Hinge just trying to get followers, do something with yourself. Like, go do something. But anyways, so matched with someone on Hinge and got their foot in the door with a lame joke because, lame jokes are great. 2-3 messages in. So I'm trying to understand what 2-3 messages are. Like, is these like 2-3 messages of like paragraphs or just, hey, joke, how you doing? Doing fine. XYZ. Now, in order for you to ask her out on the potential first date, after 2 to 3 messages, you really must like how she looks, because it's definitely not the conversation. So you must really like what's on her profile. Which, if you ever been on Hinge, I like Hinge. Hinge is a great dating site. From my perspective, is a good dating site. Probably one of the best out of the few that I've been on, and because it gives I would say that Hinge gives core direct details that you're actually looking for if they put the right information on there and how they put it on there. Now, I have been on some Hinge profiles where they give limited information. But then you have those that use it to its availability and gives you a lot of information. And when I say about direct core information, meaning that it gives you something to talk about. Like you could point something on there and have a conversation, which is great because it's a great conversation starter. So you can comment on the one particular thing, or how the case is, whether it's a voice message, whether it's a picture, whether it's something that they put in their profile. You can have that direct conversation, which is awesome. Is one of the features that I actually like. I like that they also had like the standouts, but I'm not here to talk about the app. But there's a few things about the Hinge app that I actually like. So Hinge, if you're hearing this, you know, want to sponsor a brother, cool. You know what I'm saying? We talk about those relationships. As if she's interested in a potential first date, you know, also told her that, you know, check the app frequently, do the work. Now, I have heard this line from a lot of women. I'm not on here a lot. You know, do you want to exchange numbers? And then, you know, you exchange numbers. I haven't really heard it from a male perspective before. Cause, you know, when I was on the app, I checked it frequently. Like, not because it was just interesting to me. And when you got downtime, then, you know, if you're not checking any other social media, you might as well check Hinge. So that's kind of how that kind of worked out. But if you don't check the app frequently, you know, if you're really interested in this person, then my suggestion would be to check the app actually frequently. But you only have to check it frequently because if you have your notifications on, it'll tell you that you got a message. So I'm kind of lost at right there. Like, you don't check the app frequently to often do the work. But if you see a message, I mean, I'm sure you get like a 15-minute break, or you get like a half-hour break, or you may have to go to the bathroom at some point in time. You know, shoot a quick message just to keep the conversation going. You know, there's ways around this or whatever. So, but you said that she didn't answer your question, but instead asked what you did for work. Okay, so she ignored your question because you offered her your number. So you basically just gave her your number, and she didn't answer the question, and that's what you did for work. So at this point, I think you should just reiterate it. Like, well, this is what I do for work, and like, so what are your thoughts on a potential first date? You know, and I think you should spice it up a little bit. Like, hey, you know, I don't check the app frequently, but I would love to be able to talk to you more. You know, get a little bit more in depth. Hey, is it okay if I have your number or whatever? And go from there. Or you can spice up and say a little bit and say, hey, like one of my favorite lines, I'm gonna get y'all some. One of my favorite lines is, man, because Hinge don't let you use emojis. I'm gonna use emojis on Hinge. So after a few text messages, I would tell like some look, like, I'm really enjoying this conversation, and I'm enjoying this conversation, but I can't express myself like I want to. Because Hinge won't let me send emojis. And then they'll turn around and send me their number, say, hey, well, you can go ahead and give me a call. That way I can send all my gifts in emojis at that point in time. It damn near works every time. Like, I've used it a few times where I'm like, hey, look, I can't send emojis and gifts on here like I want to, so I can express myself because it's funny, because it's real funny or whatever. And then they're like, all right, well, you can just give me a call. I never expected it to work, but it works. So that's free game. So if you're having a conversation with somebody, you want to get their number, say, hey, like, I'm really enjoying this conversation, and then I can't express myself with gifts and emojis because Hinge doesn't allow you to do that. I don't know if they allow you to do it now, but they don't allow you to do that. She may just give you a number, say, hey, well, you could just text me. Because they want to see the gifts. They want to see the emojis. They want to see all that, because that's what they own. They want to see that. So you didn't get a response after you told her what you did for work. So now I'm actually kind of curious, what did you do for work? Because as we know, there are some women that are out there that's like, depending on the job that you do, it depends on whether you're going to give them time, whether you're going to give them attention, and whether you're going to have like a lot of money. So if all those three things doesn't apply to your job, if it ain't gonna give them time, if it ain't gonna give them attention, if it's not something that can excel and turn into money, then more likely they're probably not going to want to deal with you, like on any level, because it's not checking off boxes on their list. Now And that's probably why you didn't get a response, because once you seen what your job was, it was already like, okay, that's not something that I want to deal with. So it sounds like this is already dead in the water from the conversation. Like, you only had 2 to 3 messages and they probably wasn't even really deep messages. It probably wasn't even deep conversation. It probably wasn't anything for her to feel you out or anything like that. But you was really into her from what she had on her profile, from how she looked. And then you wanted to talk about a potential first date, which I would have took potential out of there. But, you could have been a little smoother there. You start off with a lame joke. Then you got really ambitious once she responded to you. And then you kind of lost it with the job and asking for the potential first date. And then you asked, I feel like you navigated horribly. I would agree, you did. You definitely messed up on this one. You definitely fumbled this one all the way through. Now, did you ask her out too early? That depends. Like I said in the beginning, there are some that want to be asked out early. There's some that want to be asked out early, and there's some that want to, wait and kind of have that dialogue and conversation. In any situation, the safe route is always to wait. Just keep having a conversation, see where this person's head is at. My good measure for conversations, are they sending paragraphs? That's the best measure. Are they sending paragraphs? If they aren't sending paragraphs in the conversation, then they're probably not 100% interested. I'm the belief, because some people say, well, I'm not a texter, then why are you on an app that involves texting? They got apps that have video. They got apps that got calling. Why are you on an app that texts? That's probably one of the gripes that I have when people are on apps and they say, well, I'm not a big texter, but you're on a app that primarily is text-based. I'm an app. You're primarily on an app that's text-based. Like, come on now. Let's be serious. Like, how do you don't like the text, but you're on it? It's crazy to me. But anyways, so the safe play is always to just keep having a conversation, see how the conversation goes. If she's asking you questions back, and she's following up, doing follow-up questions, and paragraphs, and I know it probably seems like a lot, but this is how you know that you have somebody that can have a conversation, because they're asking follow-up questions, trying to get clarity, they're sending paragraphs explaining and stuff like that, and you can have a good conversation like that. People that give like real short responses say, oh, well, I'm not really a texter, I do better talking on the phone. And then you get them on the phone, and then they don't talk. They don't say anything. So then you're sitting there like, well, you said that you wanted to talk on the phone, so we on the phone, but you ain't got nothing to talk about. But they want you to create the whole conversation and Q&A them to death, but they don't have no questions for you. That's a red flag right there. If you're asking primarily all the questions and they're not asking you any questions back, then that's the biggest red flag. They don't want to talk. They just want attention. That's just been my experience. I don't know if anybody else had experiences like that. If you had, go ahead, drop it in the chat. I would love to see it. But that's just always just been my experience. Also, if you're and also, I don't think you need to overthink this. Definitely move on from this whole situation. This is pretty much dead in the water. There's nothing that can bring you back from this. Okay, there's nothing that can bring you back from this. It's done. Okay, you had the conversation and it went nowhere at all. So it's dead in the water. That's my advice. Just move on. Go ahead. Go to the next swipe. Go to the next one. Matter of fact, use the same lame joke and see if it gets you the same reaction you got from her. But then just take it slow in the conversation and make sure that when you are talking to them, make sure you getting the right feedback that you want. You're asking them questions, they're asking you questions, there's follow-up, there's heavy dialogue. That's the kind of stuff that you want. But if you don't have all that heavy dialogue, just don't even waste your time. Don't even waste your time. Hey, it's your host, MNG. I will catch you on the next go around. Make sure you like, subscribe, share. Let me know your thoughts on this post, how you feel about it, what's being said, the whole 9 yards. All right, I will catch you on the next go around. Peace.